Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and of course, I'm joined by my co-host,
Mary.
And today we're talking about Season 14, Survivor Fiji. We're going to deep dive this whole season. I might have chapter markers, I might not, so don't hurt me if I don't. But there's a lot of things that happened this season, but first off, let's start with a brief discussion of this season versus Cook Islands. Which one's better?
Oh, man. Cook Islands.
Not even close. Yeah. Cook Islands kept me entertained the whole time. Mm-hmm. This one does not get entertaining until the merge, which is like episode 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first 7-8 episodes of the season was rough.
Well, it would have been better if, what's their names, had won a few challenges.
Ravu?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember us coming out of Palau saying, man, Palau was rough until Oolong was gone, and then it got better.
I remember thinking that, if I didn't say it. I remember saying it was like a train wreck, but you couldn't stop watching. But it was like
an interesting train wreck, I feel like. Maybe because we had the POV of Stephanie LaGrossa, and we were kind of rooting for her that season. There was no one on the Ravu tribe where I was like, I hope they survive and get to the end, because they did a tribe swap. Mm-hmm. Now, had the Ravu tribe held its original form with Earl and Yowman still on it, that would have been different, because we've been rooting for those two to get out of Ravu and survive.
Right.
But they swapped in like episode 4, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I have notes on each episode, which we'll go through, but
that might have helped.
I think it would have helped, because those first 8 episodes are rough.
Yeah, it was just rough.
It was so boring.
Maybe there just weren't as many great characters either. I mean, there were a few good characters, but
yeah, Cook Islands I felt had a bunch of different good characters, though it did have a lot of weak ones out of its cast of 20. Here we have a cast of 19, only one less, and yeah, I feel like there was like 5 characters I remember, and 2 of them were really annoying. Lacey and Rocky being the 2 really annoying ones. So, though I will say the location itself, had it been filmed in HD, I know I've talked about obviously with you about this off the air, but if Survivor went to this part of Fiji again, I'd be okay with this modern Survivor. Mm-hmm. They have to stay in Fiji. Why not visit this part of Fiji or another part of Fiji? Because if they didn't call it Survivor Fiji, they called it like Survivor not Fiji. I'd be very suspicious they called it Survivor not Fiji. But it does not look like the same Fiji that we've been looking at in modern seasons, and I did appreciate that they were a different part of Fiji.
Sure.
And I think I remember reading they had issues with, they couldn't do I don't remember any water challenges, or they only had a few water challenges this season. Yeah, not as many as you think they would, considering they're in Fiji. A lot more on land challenges.
I'm sure those are more difficult to set up and stuff too.
Well, the sea snakes on Exile Island were something.
That's true.
Yeah. By the way, Exile Island is gorgeous.
That is, yeah, I did like Exile this season.
This is my favorite visual Exile Island from all the seasons where they've had it. So, all right, let's start from the very beginning, because there's only 19 players this season. Only season with odd number of players ever. I guess they didn't have an alternate because a girl named Melissa McNulty dropped. The night before.
Wasn't it the day? Yeah.
Something like that.
So it would be really difficult to find someone the day before. I don't know the list of people who dropped, but has anyone else dropped the day before and they got a replacement?
Not to my knowledge, but here I guess they didn't even have an alternate for her.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even if they had an alternate for her, because she dropped the night before and they had to start shooting.
I know Earl came in 2 days prior, like 3 days prior. They talked about that in the reunion. And how he got called like on Friday and the season started on Monday.
That's pretty close too.
So he may have replaced somebody as well, because I feel like there's no way Survivor's out there with 20 people or with less than 20 people on Friday. No, somebody probably was pulled or dropped on Friday, and they had to call Earl. They called in their alternate, who ended up being Earl, and he came in.
I see. Yeah, could be.
Earl supposedly never watched a show ever prior to this season.
I feel like nobody watched this show. Like, everybody on this season felt like newbies. Like, they had no idea what was going on. They didn't know how to do strategy.
Except for like Yowman.
Yowman was just smart. Like, I feel like he
figured it out along the way.
Maybe he watched some when he found out he was going to be on the show or something like that. And figured it out along the way. But like, some people, it was just like, they didn't even know
basic strategy.
Well, they didn't even know how the game was going to play out, it seemed like.
Well, they did talk about multiple times about there being a final 2. And of course, Cook Islands had not finished airing yet before they started shooting the season. I think it was only like 4 or 5 episodes in at that point. So they couldn't have known about the final 3. But yes, other than that, it did seem like it definitely seemed like quite a few players were just kind of winging it.
Yes.
Yeah. Which did make for some entertaining moments, but all the entertaining moments I felt like were in the merge and beyond. They did not result in a lot of entertaining moments in the first 8 episodes. So episode 1, yeah, Melissa drops, and word on the street is that this was originally supposed to be divided by race. I don't know how that would have worked with the have and have nots. I don't know if they did have and have nots last minute, but that's like really last minute to have and have nots. I feel like have and have nots were happening already. And I don't know if this was originally supposed to be divided by race, because if you think about how that twist would have been, would 3 tribes have been halves and 1 have not? Or would 2 of them been halves? Would only 1 of the 4 been halves? Or would they have waited until they merged the 4 tribes into 2 to do the have and have nots?
I would imagine they'd wait until they merge into 2 tribes, because in Cook Islands, they didn't have it by race for very long. Yeah, it was like
episode 3 they dropped it and moved them to 2 tribes.
Right. So if they were going to follow the same format, that wouldn't have been that far, and then they could have done the have and have nots, which totally, like, I really didn't like that twist. I know maybe that's the one thing people do like about the season. I don't know what your thoughts on
No, people in general do not like this twist.
Right, because it's like Survivor sure is about surviving. That's one of the basic principles. You have to learn how to survive out in the elements, and this isn't like getting them a hotel. I'm not saying that, but it's pretty glamorous for Survivor.
I think the way this could have worked, because I do think it could have worked. I know one of our questions we're going to have at the end is about how could it have worked. So let's just answer that now. My idea is that so the one time Moto loses immunity is because they have to give it up.
Yeah. They didn't lose it. They gave it up.
They lose camp or they lose immunity.
Right.
Pick one. And I think the dilemma been every single time the tribe that had the nice camp, if they won immunity, only if they won, they could either give up immunity and keep the camp, or get rid of the camp, or give up the niceties.
Right. Every time. That would have been interesting.
Every time.
Yeah.
So if Moto wins, pick one or the other every time, not just the one time, every time.
Right.
And obviously they're only maybe the one time they keep the camp, and after that they're like, we can't keep doing this.
Right. Well, yeah, that's keep comfort or get rid of a member of your tribe. I mean, come on, like that should be a no-brainer.
But it could have made for an interesting situation had they got to the point where it's like, well, actually, we do want to get rid of somebody. So
that's true.
Even though we won,
sure.
So, but also it's just then okay. But then we're flip flopping between the 2 tribes having the nice camp. Basically, they could just swap camp instead of instead of having production move all the stuff, which I'm sure
that could have been interesting, but. It definitely made it worse this season. I think maybe that's one thing that helped versus the oolonging was that it sucked seeing them in the lap of luxury with their coffee cups and their bed and their couch. And then you go to the other tribe and they don't even have fire. Like they didn't have fire forever, it felt like. And it just felt like even worse because they're suffering so much and the other tribe is just living the high life.
In season 10, Karor had a shelter built for them for a reward after... I forgot like episode. I don't know what episode it was specifically, but it was definitely around like episode 4 or 5 at the latest. So they weren't living in the same lap of luxury, but they were living in a lap of luxury. So in a way, it was almost like a precursor to this. But this twist is like they have like plates and stuff. Like this is well beyond.
That has to be why they won constantly, because they were well rested and they were well fed. And so it was just obvious that the other team
didn't even build a shelter. They're like laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Underneath a cave.
I did like the caves. I thought the caves are... I think that like having a natural shelter like that is pretty cool. Well, you'll like season 5 Thailand then, because they have a huge cave. And that's the only thing to like about that season. So everyone kind of starts together like in Palau. All 19 of them are on the same beach. And like you said, had any of them actually watched the previous Survivor? Other than Papa Smurf, I think he's the only one who... I know for a fact was not recruited onto the show. He actually applied. However, I listened to a podcast with Anthony, and Anthony said while he was recruited, he did watch the show. Okay, well that's good. So he was recruited to apply on the show. He's not recruited like, hey, come be on the show. Okay, he said yes, you're on. Right. He was recruited to apply because they said they had missing gaps in what they were looking for the season. So they had to recruit to fill in those gaps. I'm assuming they mean race gaps. I'm sure. I'm assuming. So everyone kind of starts together, and had they seen Palau, they would have known how this was going to go.
because it ends up being a tribe pick'em. But Sylvia is actually the one who kind of picks. Didn't she pick both tribes?
Yes, she picked both tribes and then had to go to exile.
I can't believe Survivor Fiji put its whole season on her shoulders.
I know.
Or even if it wasn't her, anybody's shoulders.
Well, and we've seen it where like the first person picks someone and the next person picks someone or whatever, back and forth. And that at least seems kind of fair or, impartial. But no, she did the whole.
Not impartial, just
tribes.
like there's enough different opinions that it could make for two. Instead of like Sylvia's like single-handedly either stacking a tribe or like I don't know what her criteria is, but the whole season is now resting on Sylvia's shoulders here in episode 1. Yeah, so Moto basically gets their comfort right here in episode 1 from winning with the immunity challenge, because there's only one challenge this episode, in the first episode.
Well, yeah, then I guess.
Yeah.
Immunity and reward.
And just from there,
That started it all.
Think how things would have been. No, that's the question. Ravu sucked so much. I wonder if they had won it, if they would have won every challenge. Like, would it have been more of an even season?
I think whoever won that first challenge, Moto or Ravu, would have been the top dogs because, like I said, they had food, they had fire from the first day versus the other tribe not being able to get fire. Maybe somebody on the other tribe would have been able to make fire earlier and then they would have had water earlier. Maybe that would have made a difference.
Because in episode 2, Ravu, I wrote down, so desperate they're licking leaves. So
yeah,
you're probably right.
It was really bad.
Because Jeff's like, you haven't made fire yet. We're not giving you fire when you go back to camp. And Anthony said in his podcast interview, he's like, production was confused when we got back to camp and we didn't have fire. Almost like on the fly, Jeff decided they weren't allowed to have fire back at camp. Is how Anthony felt about it, because
you just had a bad day.
The people who are at like Ravu's camp, the camera people, or whatever, like, where's your fire? Probably also production wanted fire too, I'm sure.
Well, it's just hard watching people suffering.
Well, yeah, and you're shooting in the nighttime. There's no like warmth, everything, and they can't. Yeah, they're just like confused, like, oh, okay, I guess this is what we're doing this season. So I wanted to point out, because the Dreams losing this season narrative starts right on day 2 when he gets on everyone's nerves.
Yeah,
fair play style, I put just right away, and I'm like, oh man, because I already knew he was going to get 0 votes at the end, but I thought he was going to get 0 votes, not based solely, but based heavily on, and it kind of does, heavily on the Yao Ming Car Deal. Is how it feels. But no, it really starts in episode 2, the narrative of like, he annoys people.
Well, he and Rocky butted heads immediately also.
Yeah, him and Rocky have a rivalry, but they aren't on the same tribe. They're on the same group together at the very, very, very beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, once they split tribes, not until they do the tribe swap. So I noted that in episode 2, Yao Ming looks in Sylvie's bag for the idol, but later gets mad in the season when somebody looks through his bags for an idol.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think about this until I thought back to Yao Ming being smart. When I looked at my notes, I was like, wait, hypocritical much, right? Because Yao Ming's looking at Sylvie's back for the idol, and it's like, oh, well, Yao Ming's smart. He's looking at, thinking ahead. And later on, when the stupid horseman looked through his bag, he's like, huh, what? Of course, great play by Yao Ming being the victim.
Well,
in a situation where everyone finds out he has an idol. They're like, oh yeah, who cares about that? Well, why were you looking through his bag? Get out of here.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, to be fair, he did it like to her face. I mean, he hugged her and glanced in her bag. It wasn't like it was sneaky. I won't defend, but
non-sneaky would have been, hey, Sylvia, do you have an idol in your bag?
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I'd just rather go about it Yao Ming's way, like, than a sneaky horseman way. But whatever.
Both.
I just like Yao Ming better. You're right. They're both in the same category.
Basically. So in episode 3 is when I start, even though I knew how this was playing out, I was like, in terms of like who wins, how many, the fact that Ravu basically loses almost every challenge. I was like, episode 3 is where I start seeing the Oolong comparisons to Ravu. That's when I noticed it. When did you start connecting the dots?
I mean, it felt like, I don't remember specifically.
When you're like, are they really going to lose every immunity?
I remember feeling early on because it just felt like forever. It just dragged on forever. And again, I really feel like it's because the other tribe had more than they did. They had food and water almost immediately.
Episode 3, actually, I noticed has a couple of things that are big. here because, all right, so Ravu just can't win. But Gary, this is the episode where Papa Smurf gets pulled from the game because he injures himself, I believe, in episode 2 with what seemed like a concussion on the TV. But I later read that it had nothing to do with the concussion. It was something else like his blood, or I forgot. But it was not a concussion is what I learned.
Right.
It was not a concussion. But man, like, yeah, because when he made that fall in episode, it was the immunity challenge, I believe, in episode 2 on the slippery oil thing. It was like, that seemed like,
I thought he cracked a rib.
yeah, it was a lot. But he gets pulled from the game. So so when Ravu lost a person in episode 1, they got replaced by Sylvia. So they really had lost numbers. So they're still even episode 2. They lose a person in episode 2. Now they're down 1. Gary leaves in episode 3. Now they're back to even again, despite not having won a challenge.
Right.
However, Ravu has to go back to tribal again. So by the end of the episode, they are down one person. But through 3 episodes, they're still only down one person, which is different than Oolong. Oolong never got like a replacement person. No one in Koror ever got pulled due to medical reasons. The only time Oolong never caught a break. There was never any breaks. Ravu was given a couple of breaks, though still super unlucky as a tribe. This is the episode where Rita kind of randomly votes for Earl, and they throw in the confessional from her. I think I'm gonna go a different way, and it's like, what?
Oh yeah.
But I don't think the show even knew like why she
I'm not
voted
even
for
sure
Earl.
she did. She just didn't feel like voting with everyone else. I don't know.
Because at the end of the show, Jeff's like, nah, Earl never has his name written down until it counted for him. Like, Jeff didn't even remember that Rita voted for Earl.
Because it didn't matter.
But he pitched his Earl's have played the first perfect game, and he hadn't. He was so close. Like, Earl should have had the first perfect game. Like, why did he get a vote from Rita?
I mean,
you know what I mean? It wasn't.
Technically, to me, I feel like it was the first perfect game. I know it's not. But
on paper, it's not. But I understand.
It was almost just because like Rita didn't want to vote for whoever they're voting for, so she just threw a name out.
Basically.
It had nothing to do with Earl.
Yeah, basically. I know. And when I made sometime last year, I made the video about the people who played a perfect game and the others who came close. I did Earl's, and people were like, well, but Rita's vote didn't really count. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, but this video is based on facts. Like, the facts are she did vote for him.
Yes, I understand.
And the show doesn't present us really with why.
Right. We never know why.
I need to find an interview with her so she can say why she did it, because I'm sure I can find one, and I'll do it for the Fiji Secrets video, hopefully. But I'd love to know why. Why did you ruin Earl? I know she didn't know she did it, but at the time, but why did you ruin Earl's perfect game? And the fact that he almost comes out and plays a perfect game without having seen the show.
Yeah. He's a great player.
He does call himself the King of Fiji afterwards. So
I did wonder
the original King of Fiji.
Why they haven't gone back to the spot, because there seems to be a lot of fruit here, which seems to be
I'm
great.
gonna guess this is probably out of the way. Where they are in Modern Survivor is a very accessible location with like an airport nearby and a resort. And it's Jeff can just walk like casually 10 minutes from his hotel room to the
so
challenge.
It's just because Jeff's old. That's why they're doing it.
It could be, but I remember I was listening to an interview and somebody's talking about how they took a plane there and then another plane and then a bus. It was like a lot of different. But I'm assuming from what I could see looking at where they shoot now, it's a lot less to get to.
That makes sense.
So this might have been a more different.
Right.
Sorry about that. This might have been a harder location to reach in Fiji.
That makes sense.
Which is why I'm not saying I want them to go back to this location in particular. I'm saying there are other locations in Fiji for us to move to and still get the same tax breaks. So
well, I just felt like it was a great location, not only for the beauty of it, and it's still in Fiji and the weather and everything, but like there just seemed to be fruit everywhere, and it's not. It almost made it a little bit easier on Ravu because at least they had some fruit. They had no rice, they had no fire, and no water.
Oh yeah, remember when Erica found fruit in like episode 2?
Pineapples or whatever.
Like right next to the cave. Yeah. And she's like, how did we all miss this?
And plenty of coconuts. So I don't know, I thought that was good, but
yeah. Episode 4. Oh no, so sorry. Episode 3 isn't when Gary gets pulled. That's when I said it seems like he might have got concussion. Episode 4 is when he got pulled due to bug bites. Okay. Sorry. It's technically a quit, though, because Survivor Production did not pull him from the game. He chose to leave.
Right.
I remember, though, when Ravu lost Reward and Rocky's like, why don't we just call Jeff on the Jeff phone and just vote someone out right now? Like, man, Rocky was causing a lot of drama.
Yes.
Yep. Rocky, man. And not that getting rid of him changed anything for the tribe, but
they felt better about it. I would imagine.
They felt better. He does though. Like it's uncanny how he looks, kind of talks. It is almost like a cheap version of Sylvester Stallone. A non-steroid using version of Sylvester Stallone, or whatever it's called, HGH. I don't care. Stallone is not naturally as large as he is at this age anymore. If he even was the whole time. Whereas Rocky's like a skinny Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. He just had some of the same mannerisms. And of course the accent, his eyes.
Yeah, he has a lot going for him.
Yeah.
If he told us he was like the long lost son of Sylvester Stallone, I'd believe it. I mean, not if he told it to me, I guess, but
not
if we found out that was the truth, yeah. So they basically, this is the episode 4 I wrote down is when they do the bottle twist. Because for some reason in this era of Survivor, up through Tocantins at least, Jeff's like, when the challenge is over, I'm going to pull a bottle out. We're going to read what's inside of it. As if like, it's fair because I have it in a bottle in my pocket.
Right.
Like that doesn't mean you didn't just write it right before the challenge. It doesn't mean anything. Anyways, so this is where he pulls the note out of the bottle and tells him, you need to trade comfort or keep immunity to Moto. Moto's like, yeah, we'll vote me out, I guess.
Yeah, well, what would have happened if Ravu would have won?
Yeah. I think the bottle twist says, go back to camp, have fun. I don't know. Maybe Ravu gets a choice of you get comfort by going to tribal, by taking their stuff, or you keep immunity.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been the trade for Ravu. I don't know. Episode 5, the only note I wrote down was Rocky and Dream's rivalry. Oh, I think this is really when it started breaking out because I don't know if this is the episode or the next episode is the one where they're talking so much smack and then they go up on
the
and
pushing,
they fight with
was a sumo,
the sumo kind of like thing that you see in Heroes versus Villains again, and Dreams wins every time.
But yeah, the other tribe wins every time except for Ravu wins once. I forget who on Ravu won.
Was it Yao-Man winning it, but he beat a girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I said even before Yao-Man got the point, I was like, dude, if Yao-Man gets a point here, I'm like, yeah, you got a point, but it was against... wasn't like against, it wasn't even against like a strong woman. It was just against like a girl.
I forget who he fought.
I forgot who. It could have been Michelle for all I remember. But
was it Michelle on his tribe?
I don't know. I forgot who he was fighting. It was somebody who I was not impressed by him beating.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm just glad they got one win. But again, it was like so terrible because they couldn't even get one match. They got one match.
Yeah, we're through episode 5 here. There still hasn't been a tribe swap. And it's just like, I kind of wish they had just let them ride it out. Just let them be. I don't know if Survivor want to do an Oolong 2.0. It had just been 3 seasons ago at this point.
Yeah.
Or 4 seasons ago, I guess. Like, do they want to do? It's so soon.
Right.
It's so too soon.
They never do this whole have tribe thing again.
They never do it again. No.
Okay, good. So I really feel like that was the primary factor, and that's what kind of ruined it for me, honestly.
Yeah, not a great idea. So episode 6 is when the swap happens, and Ravu basically picks an all men's tribe, and they're like, "We're gonna dominate challenges, right?" And Lisi's like, "Oh boy, I get to go home now." And Jeff's like, "No."
I was so mad at her at that point.
It's one of the funniest scenes in the whole pre-merge. Lisi wants to quit and finds out, "Oh no, I'm forced to go to exile."
And then she gives so much attitude to Jeff as she walks away. Whatever.
I was like, I bet you there's more to that scene that we didn't get to see of her not wanting to be there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. If you told me at this point production told her if she quits she doesn't get paid or whatever, I'd believe that happened.
Yeah.
Because that has happened. Like, hey, like if you quit, you don't get. I don't think it's actually. I think it's if you leave the island early, not if you get quit. Like if you decide I'm not gonna stay at Ponderosa, I'm going home. That's when you don't get paid. So this episode is a big one strategically for what comes down the road when the show gets interesting. So we get the 4 horsemen become a thing down in the water. Which is, if I recall, Alex, Edgardo, Mookie, and Dreams. Little did they know Dreams going to kill them later. Little did you know that was going to happen later.
I had no idea. Yeah.
Though at this point, Rocky is constantly picking on Anthony, and it's kind of getting to the point where he's like bullying him. Because I think actually this is the episode where Anthony gets voted out. So this is really just like this whole episode is just Rocky bullying Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Anthony. I wish he hadn't gone so early, but. Obviously, it's a game, whatever. I just felt bad for him.
I wrote down that earlier, It was the episode before, I believe. You were like, well, if Anthony won, this would make it a good season. And I was like, she has no idea what's happening in the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, like the little guy who overcomes kind of deal.
He would have like a David versus Goliath kind of story. Though after this episode ends and Anthony's voted out, I asked Mary, who do you think's going to win? And I was expecting you to say Yao Man, and you said Earl. And I was like, holy crap, Mary called it.
Did I say Earl or Yao Man?
No, you said Earl.
I did say Earl.
Yeah. I was expecting you to say Yao Man, honestly.
That's true, because I was expecting Yao Man to go because this was still pre-merge, right? And so usually...
But Yao Man's now on the Nice Moto tribe.
That's true. But usually the older guys go earlier.
You also tend to fall in the traps of whoever the fan favorite is wanting to win. And I was like, okay, so you're definitely going to pick Yao Man because he's definitely the fan favorite of the season.
I liked Yao Man. I just thought he was going to go. I mean, like, I didn't see him. At this point, I didn't see... what a great strategist he was.
His story really evolves later on in the season. Yeah.
And as well as the relationships he had, because I just assumed he was probably going to get voted off next if they had to go to tribal, which of course they never did.
So at this point, Mary's called the winner. I'm keeping it to myself. I have not told her. She still doesn't know. This season, you were unspoiled. Next season, you're completely unspoiled on the winner. And from there on out, I think, so there's only 2 seasons I know off the top of my head where you're completely unspoiled on the winner. So I'll try to keep them close to the vest. But season 15, China, and then season 30, Worlds Apart. Those are the 2 you don't know. Worlds Apart, though, is one that we really got to watch. All right, so episode 7, Ravu wins their one and only challenge, and it's a reward challenge. I think it's the one where they were flicking the fireballs at the Ravu Moto things. By the way, a lot of challenges this season. Some of them I'm like, whatever. But some of them I'm like, yeah, we should do this again.
Yeah, there's some good ones in this season.
Like, they could be modified to be better. And the one where they dance for the locals,
I don't know about
I think it's fun as a reward challenge.
Yes.
Some of these are strictly reward challenge only. Like, don't put immunity on the locals.
Yes.
Which actually, is that what happens in that challenge? I forget if that was also for immunity. It should never be put on that kind of decision for immunity. But for reward, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? We're here in Fiji currently, and I have yet to see. I think like what? It's very rare we see anyone local in a modern season.
That's true. And I wonder if by their choice though.
I know. I think they'd have to like go way out of their way to find people who don't live at that resort hotel island thing. So anyways.
Yeah.
All right. So this episode, the Rocky goes on the jury without ever meeting a few of the Moto members. And I put, that's unfair.
That's true.
What if, like, thankfully at the end, everyone who's in the final 3, he met or was on a tribe with, but kind of like Cook Islands, where I believe Rebecca never met anybody who's in the final 3. Rocky was in a situation where he could have also been, I mean, it didn't work out that way, but it could have worked out that way.
Right.
Like, he never met Boo. And if Boo's in the final 3, Rocky never met Boo. That would have been unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah. The jury should never start before the merge. They should have merged then. If they were going to do this, they should have merged. Should have merged episode 7. That would have made the season better too, doing it at this point instead of waiting for until later. I put, all I have for episode 8 is Lacey basically quits, and I put possibly the worst player all season. I didn't write a note about it, but the 4 horsemen at this point found an idol while she was sleeping, and then she wakes up later and she's like, "Are you looking for the idol?
Gotta get up pretty early to fool me."
Gotta get up pretty early to fool me.
Yeah. Episode 8 is where they do the dance, and that was a reward.
Good.
So yeah.
Good.
So that was better.
The battleship challenge later. That's not one I think they should bring back, but when I was watching, I was like, this is so dumb.
That was kind of funny.
But I like when they try dumb things if it's for reward.
Also, the matching one, probably not.
No, I don't like the matching. I never
boring.
like the matching. I don't care how they. No season I've ever liked the matching challenge.
Yeah.
I never find it interesting to watch because I can't keep track of what is where, and I don't know. Except for the one time where they blow it here, it's like okay, but I don't know. Right. It's not a very engaging challenge.
No.
The battleship one is interesting because they like showed you many times like who has what, who has how many spots they haven't killed yet.
Yeah.
And if you have one here, they all be connected, so you can kind of put 2.
Right.
But still, even that one's kind of like okay, they're just like sitting down saying A3.
Right.
D4.
How interesting can you make? How dramatic can you make?
You sunk my battleship. All right. So the 4 horsemen really emerge come the merge. They're like, we're going to go into the merge and each of us are going to find an ally and we're going to turn them over to our side. And
right.
Also, we shouldn't tell Dreams about the idol. It's really an important thing.
That was a big mistake that Mookie made. And I understand why you shouldn't tell Dreams about the idol. But I never really got why Mookie decided to just do it.
I think Mookie was feeling good. He was trusting him. He kind of just threw it out there. But there was a reason why they seemed to be in agreement that, hey, like, we like Dreams. Good guy. Don't have anything against him. However, Dreams tends to just overshare.
Yeah.
Information. And that doesn't ever stop. Mm-hmm. So it's actually interesting to me that Dreams somehow, that's what makes me wonder, like, when did Dreams actually decide to burn Yao Man? Because Dreams is someone who overshares, right? And he never shares with us, and he never shares with anyone else on the island that he was going to burn Yao Man before he did it, which makes me think.
Oh, he decided then.
Makes me think, yep, at that tribal council is when he changed his mind.
Yeah.
And that final tribal, everyone's like, be honest, when did you decide to change your mind? And he's like, the whole time, is what Dreams is trying to say. It's like, nobody buys this.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that the whole time, just admit that he made a mistake.
Right.
And then you still would get 0 votes, but people wouldn't be like ripping you apart for it.
Well, I think we need to talk about, okay, so they finally make it to the merge, right? Then they have to all go to Exile Island. They find out,
and they're like,
merged.
are we to live here? Oh, no.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, no, you get to go back to Moto. Yay, we get to go back to Moto. And they were so excited.
And a couple of them hadn't even, had any luxuries.
Had never been to Moto.
Like Mookie had never been to Moto, I think was the one.
Well, I mean, technically they were all there and built the first shelter. But
not all the niceties.
Didn't have all the niceties. Yep. Nope. And then they go back and they're gone.
Hello, darkness.
And I was actually kind of happy about that. Like, I was sad because some people had it and some people hadn't, which didn't seem fair. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, okay, finally we're playing Survivor. Like, this is real. This is what you should expect.
If they had merged in episode 7, this season could have been a little bit better because we would have gotten this nonsense started a little bit sooner. Mm-hmm. Plus, Lisi and Rocky would have been in the merge group, and I don't think they're the first two to go in a merge group.
Oh, really?
I think Lisi and Rocky, despite being annoying, are going to be like, people will be like, what if we drag them to the end?
Could have. Yeah, could have.
And that might have been bad. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been bad.
So maybe they went at the right time, but them in the merge, like, they're talking about 2 of the bigger characters of the season. Mm. Yeah.
But again, okay, so again with the merge, we have the merge, but then we have teams still, which is like so weird because only one tribe had to go to tribal council and the other tribe didn't.
So this is the episode. Oh yeah, this is the episode where they do the earn the merge thing almost basically. Like 41-42. Mm-hmm. It's not the same. This one is worse, surprisingly, than the hourglass twist from 41-42. If you don't know what we're talking about. Okay, well, let's discuss this. So the reason I say it's worse is, okay, so on one hand, it's better because if you win immunity, you win immunity.
You win immunity.
That's the best part. Yeah. However, you are not involved in the voting of who goes home. So it's almost like, why did we merge if we're still going to do what is essentially... We essentially just did a tribe swap for an episode. I don't understand why. If everyone had voted at tribal council, I'd be like, this is fine. Mm-hmm. Half people have immunity and everybody gets to vote still. Okay, it's still like the merge.
Right.
But it felt like we just tribe swapped for an episode. So we almost like did a one world situation. I don't know, for an episode. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So it's better in terms of... They get to keep immunity, but I think it's worse because not everyone got to go to tribal and vote.
I get that. I guess I forgot that in 41-42 they didn't get to go to tribal.
Everyone got to go tribal and vote.
Or they all got to go to tribal. Right.
That's so in one way it's better, one way it's worse.
Yeah.
And I think this should never have happened, period.
Right, no.
Michelle gets screwed
because Michelle goes home and she would not have gotten home.
No. She would have made it. I don't think she wins a season. I don't think this like ruins a winning game or anything, but she definitely makes it further.
And this was the vote where Dreams kind of flips on Mookie because Mookie was ready to flip on the
sign.
Right. Mookie was ready to flip on the Horseman.
Yep.
And he was ready to go with Dreams and go with burn Eduardo and Alex.
Uh-huh.
Which was it was a smart play.
He plays it off so well, though.
And he somehow escaped, because Dreams doesn't flip with him.
To be fair, on all 4 of them were there. They went straight from immunity to having to vote, so you could pass off. Oh, there's confusion. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dreams gets the benefit of the doubt this one time, but the next episode, there's no way. How do they know who has the idol? You know what I mean? Like, think about it from their perspective. They don't get to see everything Dreams is doing. All they know is that, okay, we need to pass the idol off. All right, there's no way they know who has the idol now. And Dreams burns that whole group so hard. And it's just so funny to me how in the very next episode, he's like, why aren't you guys talking to me now?
Right.
Why can't we still be friends?
Wait, no, that was until later.
That was literally the next episode.
Was it?
So episode 9 is when he burns them, and I believe Edgardo gets voted out. Episode 10 is where he's like, hey guys, why aren't you talking to me?
I'm looking at the summary right now on Survivor Wiki. Episode 9 is where they vote out Michelle. Dreams flips on Mookie.
Sorry, I forgot episode 9 is technically the merge, yes.
Sorry.
Episode 10 is when Edgardo goes. That's how late the season gets going.
Yes, and then Edgardo goes, and then they're mad at him in episode 11.
I'm so annoyed at how late this season gets going. Yes, episode 9, it feels like a false start to the season.
Yeah.
Episode 10 is really weird, and then at that point we have 10, 11, 12, 13, and that's all the good episodes.
Yeah.
What a bunch of garbage. Okay, yes, you're right. Episode 10 is where Dream screws over the 4 horsemen. Mm-hmm. Episode 11, he's like, why aren't you guys talking to me?
Right.
Hey.
Right.
Why can't we be friends?
Because Mookie started to in episode 9 screw them, and then he's like, "No, for some reason I'm with you to the end.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be with you guys." And then Dream screws them, and it's like I don't care.
This 4 horsemen was bound to fail. It was like
the worst alliance ever.
Well, okay, so yeah, the patrons had me make a video all about the 4 horsemen. If you're listening to this and you're on Patreon, it's been up for a few months, but if you are not on Patreon, I encourage you watching it because it is literally the short rise and very long fall of the 4 horsemen because they don't have that much, because it starts well, like they're like, we're gonna be the 4 horsemen, and then like the very next scene after they say we're gonna like be a group together, they catch a bunch of fish, and it's like, oh, things are going well, but then they lose immunity that episode. So it's like, but then like the next episode, they win a reward challenge. So it's like, oh, maybe we're back on the up and up. But then they lose your immunity. It's just like, and just keeps going down from there. Like it just very short rise.
It's very dramatic.
Yeah.
Inside their relationships too. Like
I love how like Mookie's at
each other.
He's at exile. He's like, when I get back with the 4 horsemen, we'll figure this out. It's like all serious, like Batman, but it's like not. Yeah, Exile Island, by the way, let's talk about that briefly because we've made a bit, and that's gonna come up here soon. Before we talk about the Edgardo boot. So they changed immunity idols from the super idol in 12 and 13, and the underpowered idol, I call it, in 11. They don't have that. Now we have the normal idol that we will basically use from here to the rest of Survivor, where we play it after the votes have been cast, but before they're read.
Right.
And it's like, for dramatic purposes, this is the best way to play the idol. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not overpowered anymore. They finally fixed it, and it causes a lot of drama after the merge. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that you had to read hints to find it, and it was under your feet the whole time in the camp, because Earl kind of plays like he kind of distracts everyone at both camps for Yaman to look. Mm-hmm. Yaman could have had both idols had he found the first one.
That's true.
Not that I think that changes his placement in the game.
No.
But he could have found both idols. So we got regular idols. So with that, Edgardo, or the 4 horsemen, of an idol. And basically, I think Alex is the one who actually has the idol at the tribal council. I think it started with Mookie, and he hands off to Alex, and Dream sees this and reports it to Earl. And Earl's like, okay, let's all vote for Edgardo and not tell Dreams what we're doing, because he's bound to tell them what we're doing.
Right.
Because Dreams is almost like telling everybody everything, which causes like the most amount of drama. Like he's like a double agent, and he's just like snickering and laughing while doing it.
Right. But which causes nobody to trust him, though. Like, they never tell him anything.
Dreams is playing a kamikaze game here.
Yeah.
It's funny because he is a goat, right? But he's an entertaining goat. Sure. Like he doesn't get dragged to the end because he did nothing. He got dragged to the end because he blew up his own game a la Russell Hantz.
Yeah.
But Dreams, I'm saying Dreams played obviously a lot worse than Russell Hantz. But at the end of the day, like Dreams is playing just like almost entertain himself and whatever he feels like. And it makes it for an unpredictable end to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep. Edgardo gets voted out. And I love the reactions because like the moment Alex's name gets read, all the faces drop. And Earl's like, I can't do this for you who are listening to the podcast, but Mary knows what I'm talking about. Earl's like, he has like his hand under his chin. He's like smiling. This is the reaction he gives right when it happens. And it's like so perfect.
He's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Was that the same episode where in the next episode they look for the
Next episode's the one where they realize, okay, Dream's no longer on our side. There's only 2 of us now. We're gonna go.
So they go
find
look for the
Yaman's
idol.
idol in his bag, and then they go and they talk, and they're like talking, and they're like, all right, what are we gonna do with this information? And Stacy and Cassandra are I want to say like 10 to 20 feet behind them. I didn't get exactly get a distance, but far enough away to not hear everything they're saying, but close enough to hear that they were saying words.
Mm-hmm. And they heard the word idol.
Yes, but not, which by the way was not enough for Stacey or Cassandra to get their butt in gear and tell anybody. Mm-hmm. In case you noticed how they almost didn't care.
Well, because they noticed, I mean, Mookie and Alice noticed they were there.
Oh, yeah.
They immediately ran to Yaman and told Yaman, hey,
they're like bumbling
ultimatum, you tell the camp or we tell the camp you have an idol.
This was such a bad play.
Okay.
What a terrible play.
Yeah.
What they're trying to hold him hostage.
Yeah.
Like, what was this? What were they trying to accomplish with this?
So then Yaman goes back and tells Stacy.
Like, they were thinking it was going to target on Yaman.
Right.
But it gets played in such a way where
definitely turns back on.
It backfires hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I think the only way to play this would have been, and I don't know what the rules are. I know you can't take people's stuff, but can you take stuff out of their bag and just leave it on top of their bag? So you take Yaman's idol out of his bag, put it on top of his bag so other people discover that he has the idol, but you didn't have to be the one to burn him.
I guess.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody knows you did it.
Yeah, but they would have known.
How would they have known?
Everyone would have known that it was them.
How?
Because they're on the bottom and they're desperate. Who else is going to do it?
I don't think that's what would happen. I think this group of people...
Earl wouldn't have done it. He's done it with the idol this whole time, and he would have done it.
Yaman could be like, oh, did I leave did my idol fall out of my bag? Sorry, it doesn't get placed perfectly on top of the bag. You do it in a way where it's like, oops, it fell out of the bag. You have to... Okay, I understand these 2 are not the smartest bulbs in the box, or the brightest bulbs in the box. So they probably would not have done it correctly. But the idea is you make it look like it fell out of the bag and people see that Yaman has the idol, but you don't have to be the one responsible.
That definitely would have been better, sure.
Than what they did.
It still probably wouldn't have worked. I still think people would have eventually thought, oh, well, who's in a desperate situation, and would have gone through people's stuff, because you don't just have the idol was in his pants pocket, wrapped up inside the bag. It wouldn't have just fallen out.
Okay, but the only person who... So while Earl will be on Yaman's side, I think Earl's going to take whatever side the group majority is going towards. So if the group majority is like, Yaman, why are you keeping the secret from us? Earl's not going to step in and be like, well, actually, Yaman had it in his, Earl's going to like not defend him. That's the vibe I get from Earl based on what we see later on, where he doesn't even give Yaman the split vote.
Right. I'm just saying, if you're Stacy and Cassandra, for example, and overheard the guys talking about something and heard the word idol, and then Yaman's idol's laying next to his bag, I still think you're gonna be like, those 2 guys, they're so desperate.
I all I'm saying is, if they were gonna do this better, they found, that would have been better. To the moment they found his idol, let's circle back, because that's what I'm talking about. The moment they found his idol, not later, all the stuff that happens afterwards, because that's just absolute stupidity. The moment they found his idol, big brain here would have been, have it look like it fell out of the bag. You haven't taken it from him, and unless production comes along and puts it back in his bag for him, or forces you to do it, you just leave it out next to his bag, and then you're all sitting around camp later. If Yaman goes over there to pick it up and put it back in his bag, be like, hey, Yaman, what was in your hand? Is that an idol? Or you do the thing where Yaman hasn't gone over to his bag and everyone's just chilling, and you're just like, what's that turtle thing over there? You do something where it's like, okay, because if nobody else notices, you have to point it out, right? But it doesn't look like you did anything.
It's still so obvious. No, I'm just saying that.
Or you do it like you whisper to Edgardo really loud. Oh, no, sorry, Edgardo just got voted out. Mookie and Alex have to whisper like loud enough where it's like, it seems like they're trying to like talk about a secret, and people are like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, we think there's an idol over there. I don't know. Just anything but what they did.
Sure. There are better ways. I agree with you.
The question is, would Yaman have been the next target to be voted out? I still think the answer is no, even if they found this out and didn't blame Mookie
That's
and
what
Alex.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how they did it.
Yeah.
They were still on the bottom.
They were still screwed at this point.
Yeah.
So anyways, imagine if the rules of Survivor were if you found somebody else's idol and it wasn't on their person that you could steal it. That would be madness.
That would be madness.
That would be madness.
I don't think that's fair.
I think one season that should be a rule. One season that should be allowed. You could steal idols if it's not like on the person. So it's not in their pocket. You know what I mean? Like it's not attached to their clothing. It's on their body. If it's in their bag, that's fair game. If it's if it's in sand, it's fair game. I think that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
So you find it in somebody's bag, you're like, well, this is mine now. You take it. And nobody knows that you have it because you stole it out of the bag. Somebody's like, somebody stole my idol and I don't have it anymore. That would bring madness. People would probably want to throw punches.
Yeah, that would not be.
That would be great.
Good.
I don't want actual punches thrown, but this would be great. Like this would cause such saltiness when you play your idol, the idol you stole out of their bag from them. Oh my gosh.
And then people would hate you and you never win.
Well, you gotta play it cool. This is an idol I found, and I definitely didn't steal out of a bag.
Okay.
I don't know. I want to hear your comments of those who hear this part. What do you think about just changing of the rule for a season? Like that's the twist of the season. It's a secret twist. You can steal idols, or it's a not so secret twist, but whatever.
Right.
Like everyone. How about the season is? This is the season where everybody starts with an idol. The hypothetical season. Everybody starts with an idol, a normal idol that cannot last but through like Final 5 or whatever. And you could steal idols if it's not the person. Oh, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
And for those who are like, well, how would that work if everyone played their idol at tribal council? Well, then everyone's safe, and at the next tribal council, they just do a double tribal where 2 people get voted out. For those who are wondering about the logistics of how this would work, that's how they would do it. It'd be very simple. If you get 8 people to burn their idol at one tribal council, oh well, there goes the 8 idols.
I guess,
anyways.
yeah.
Just my thoughts. I know people say it can't be done. It could very easily be done with how absurd Survivor has gotten with some of their stuff.
You're right.
So Dream still wants to be friends with these people. And they're like, no, stop it. This is the episode where they play a battleship for immunity, not reward.
Right. These should have been flipped, I think. Because the reward was tearing meat off with your teeth. Which is
definitely
gross,
skill.
Yeah.
It's more skill than doing battleship.
But at this point, it's just more entertaining than Battleship. I don't know about
if your
more
life's
skill.
on the line, get the meat, you know. Like
Yeah.
Alex's life was on the line. He still couldn't get the meat. And to get top 3, so I don't know.
Well, again, that was reward. Immunity was the Battleship one.
Episode 12 is the weakest of these merge episodes because this is the one where Alex goes, and you kind of just know the whole episode Alex is going to go.
Yeah. There's no...
Not a question.
I mean, they try to kind of say, oh, maybe Yalman, but...
When he climbs that pole to try to beat Boo up to the top to get a flag, I know I told you this, but in a secret scene that you'll see in the Survivor Fiji secrets video, he scrapes his like legs on those metal things that are on the side of the pole like really bad, and he gets infections.
Yeah.
So it looks like a smart idea, but it clearly was never designed for somebody to do that because he gets really hurt from doing
Yeah,
it.
if he could have pulled himself up, it would have paid off, but he did.
But then, I wonder what his... Because then he would have been there for 2 more episodes. Well, actually, just 1 more episode. If it worked, it would have been brilliant. But Alex would have needed a perfect run here of immunity challenges to get to the end. And even then, I don't know if Alex wins.
Right.
Does he have the respect of the jury? I know he has 2 of the horsemen. He has 2 votes, but that's not enough to win the season.
No.
Yeah, there's 8 jurors, so... So let's... Oh, sorry, it's 14 episodes a season, not 13. So, episode 13, Car Deal. Let's talk about it. Can you tell everyone what the car deal is?
So, Yalman wins the reward challenge, which is a car.
And leading up... pickup truck. It's like a big one.
Leading up to the challenge, I guess they all know that they're going to win a car because it was in the tree mail or whatever.
There's like a key or whatever, I think.
So... Dreams keeps talking about how he needs a car. He needs a car. He hopes he wins this one because he's the only one there who doesn't have a car. He doesn't even have his license because he didn't see the point because he can afford to get a car.
Yeah.
But then Yalman wins and he says, Dreams, if I give you the car because I know you need it, will you give me immunity at Final 4? Dreams says, yes, of course. Immediately. No thoughts, no questions.
No thoughts.
Just yes. And then Jeff's like, okay, you realize that
we can't enforce this.
It's up to Dreams to do this. And Yaman's like, yep, I understand. I'm going to do it.
But Yaman's going after what Dreams calls, like, Dreams is honorable and he sticks to his word.
Right.
By the way, laughable. After he burned the 4 horsemen.
Right.
But yes, he's trying to take advantage of Dreams' wanting a car, which he made very apparent. Mm-hmm. And everything else. So Dreams agrees. Dreams says, yes, at Final 4, if I win immunity, I will give it to you.
Right. Because Yalman is afraid that he and Earl are tight. He knows that they will go to final 2. They're still thinking final 2. And he knows Cassandra and Dreams are tight. And so he's thinking that Cassandra and Dreams are going to somehow pull Earl over and vote him out at final 4. So he's just trying to cushion himself to get to the final 3 where he knows he and Earl will get Cassandra out in his mind.
Well, yeah, in his mind, he's going to get to the final. He's trying to get to final 2. And so even in his mind, he doesn't know that final 4, getting that means a guaranteed final 3. Because even Dreams jokes later, like, I know at final 3, you're going to vote me out. That's what Dreams says to Yaoman.
Right. Which is what Yaoman was going to do.
Well, yes. Ideally, he didn't. I mean, I don't know. I would have taken Dreams to final 2. Even without
over
this car
Cassandra.
deal.
I mean, you wouldn't have taken Earl, though. Yaoman would have taken Earl.
I would have sat next to Dreams to final 2 and taken the risk.
I know.
Personally, if
you
it was me.
would have.
Yeah.
But I really don't think Yaoman would have.
I think Earl would have too. As
obviously.
proven by Earl, I think Earl
Voting
would have
out
kept
Yaoman.
Dreams too. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think so too. But anyway, and Yaoman knew that. But anyways, it was, I don't know. I guess it was a gamble because maybe Yaoman didn't really need the car anyways. And so it was worth it to him to try and get this
So I want to talk
promise.
about what happened factually, and then we'll talk about what should have happened to make this work for both sides. So I have an idea.
Okay.
So let's talk about what happened. Because what actually happens is, okay, we're at final 6. They agree to this deal. And so Dreams very quickly realizes, Yaoman made this deal because he is going to vote me out, or because he's going to vote me out afterwards, something like that.
Right.
Dreams basically realizes that the deal is not just, I'll give him immunity for a round and I get a truck. It's that Yaoman's also probably going to get rid of me. So I need to get rid of him before we get to the final 4. So I don't have to do the deal because I'm an honorable guy and I want to be a good example for my son.
Right.
So fair enough. Dreams, I like the way Dreams is thinking. So he tries to get out Yaoman, but Yaoman has an idol, and at Tribal he plays it. First successful idol play.
Right. Which he should have totally.
All Survivor. Yep. Yaoman stops the 4-2 vote and is safe. So we move on to final 5. Dream's like, well, crap. But this time, Yaoman doesn't have an idol. So all we have to do is win immunity. And we can get out Yaoman. Well, Yaoman goes on to win immunity.
Right.
Well, son of a gun.
And I was so excited that happened. Because I didn't want Yaoman to go.
So Yaoman wins immunity. He doesn't go. And he keeps... Yaoman, this was Yaoman's chance, by the way. So there's so many, at points where Yaoman could have fixed this and won. Mm-hmm. Or given himself a better chance. Right here was the first one for me. Right. Voting out Dreams at final 5.
Yeah.
Final 6 was not the time to do it seemed like. But because I feel like after you go through that vote, it's like, okay. But at final 5, I think at this point, if you got your vote out Dreams. But he doesn't. So factually, he doesn't. They move on to final 4. They're at the immunity challenge. Right? And I guess because Yaoman's stays up, that Dreams stays up. But if Dreams just didn't win immunity, he would not have had to burn Yaoman. But the question, of course, is then Yaoman just wins immunity straight. Right. I mean, that's not the question. That's what would have happened because based on how they fell. Because Cassandra goes first, as usual. Then Earl, who, by the way, did not impress me in challenges this season.
No, he wasn't great.
I thought he'd be better. He looks to be in shape. He looks to be healthy and everything. He wasn't... Anyway, so... but no, it came down to Dreams and Yaoman. And so Dreams had to beat Yaoman basically because if Yaoman wins, then
I think Dreams would have gone home if Yaoman.
Yaoman wins. Yaoman's voting out Dreams, so Yaoman had to win immunity.
Right.
I mean, Dreams had to win immunity, and this is when they find out it's final 3. They didn't know this before now.
That's true.
And it's not treated as big of a Cook Island's like, well, yeah, great, final 3, it's awesome. Here it's kind of like, oh, that changes everything. That's a final 3. Because we thought there's gonna be a final 2, so because it probably would have gone down all normal had it been a final 2. So Dreams wins immunity. He could have chosen not to win immunity and risked his life, but likelihood of him going, I think, was high. I think. Maybe he could have convinced Earl. I don't know. He needed Yaoman not to win and him not to win, but that means Earl would have had to have won. If Earl wins, who goes? Maybe Yaoman.
Probably.
I mean. It could be Cassandra, as we learned. Even when she's available, he doesn't get rid of her. So, yeah. Okay, so we get to there. We get Dreams is saying he's going to do it. 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 They go to Tribal. Dreams doesn't do it. He doesn't give immunity, and it's like a huge reaction. By the way, going into that tribal, did you think he was going to do it?
I really did.
You got suckered in.
I know.
I know.
Only because he kept saying, I'm going to do it for my son.
And he
I
gave no hints that he's going to do anything else.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no hints. Which, by the way, even if
No, there were hints because...
were there?
Yeah, he was talking to Earl one time. Well, he said... He told Yaman, hey, if I do this, will you promise not to vote me out? And I don't even know if Yaman really responded. I'm sure he did. Or I don't know. And then later he said something about, guys, if I just think about my son, it's going to happen. But I don't know if I'll be strong enough or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So there was a little small.
There was a little bit, yeah.
But it definitely was so strong in favor of, I'm going to do this, that we're almost like anticipating him doing it and like slapping her forehead and like being dreamed you just got yourself out of the game.
Right.
Instead, he doesn't do it and he burns Yao Man.
And the whole jury.
Okay, so with that, do you have any thoughts of how Yao Man could have got to the final 3 still? Let's circle back. The deal still happens. We do not change the deal.
Right.
The deal happens. That's an irreversible change. That happens.
Mm-hmm.
From that point, how does Yao Man get to final 3 without winning immunity at final 4?
He'd have to vote out Dreams like immediately. Somehow.
That is an option. That's option 1.
Right.
Vote out Dreams at final 6 or final 5. I think final 6, I said, I think is too soon. You gave Dreams no chance at will he burn you or not? Because he could have played his idol and turns out, no, the votes are already in his favor. He wasted an idol.
Right.
And it turns out Dreams held as true to his deal. So you don't vote Dreams final 6 because you don't know. He tried voting you out. That's your hint.
Yeah.
That's your hint. That's your red flag. So final 5, you should have voted him out. But I think there's another way. I think there's a way to do this and be honorable about it. And this would have only made Dreams look worse, which sounds incredibly hard to do, if he doesn't go through with it. So I think before Final 4, or maybe after the immunity one, pick one, I think before, you go, hey, you know what? No matter which of us win Dreams, we both agree we're going to go to Final 3 together. Like, let's agree that even if I win immunity or you win immunity, and we will agree not to vote each other out, we'll go to Final 3 together. Mm-hmm. And then, so you can hold true to your deal and know that I'm not going to vote you out because Dreams, you're a goat. You don't tell Dreams that, but Yaman has to know he has to know he's more liked than Dreams. I know it's talked about how Dreams will get a sympathy vote, but I don't think Dreams gets that much sympathy.
Yeah.
Which of course they're not fully aware of what the jury's thinking. I think that's the way. I think you go to Final 3 with Dreams. You just be like, Dreams, I'm not going to vote you out. I have no, because even Yao Man learns in Final 3, you should vote out Earl. Obviously.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, who's the person who has not annoyed people and people actually like and view as somewhat of a... Earl. Not Cassandra, Earl. You and Dreams should vote out Earl. Mm-hmm. If you vote out Earl...
That's true.
Then you both go to Final 3. Dreams gives you the idol at Final 4 still. So he holds his deal. Mm-hmm. He gets his truck. Dreams, I'm not going to vote you out. I promise you. I'm a man of my word. I'm Yao Man. And you go to Final 3 together. And I know the drama's not there. It's a lot more interesting with the drama.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm talking about from a game perspective, if you're Yao Man. Because it's almost like they didn't talk after Dreams won the immunity. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was too late at that point.
If he was able to give another option. Because it seemed like, it's either you or me, basically, is what it seemed like. So, if he would have been able to get with Dreams and be like, hey, we really need to get Earl out. He's a really big threat. No matter who wins, let's get Earl out. Like,
obviously, Dreams screwed up, but Yao Man had multiple opportunities, 2 opportunities in my mind to fix this mistake, and he didn't. Now, how did the deal never happen? Period. Yao Man was still going to be targeted. I feel like he was not making Final 3, so the deal is neither here nor there, and Yao Man getting to the end. But I think the deal actually could have helped him, and he could have course corrected it. But he held so strong to that original deal, he didn't try to course correct at any point after realizing Dreams isn't quite on his side like he thought. So
I don't know what makes him think that Dreams was on his side.
No, I don't know. But anyways, it does make for a very interesting turn of events, and it was a huge controversy at the time. I will say I do not remember, so I could have watched the season when it aired, but I'm 99% sure this is the time in high school when I got a job and I was working a lot of the evenings. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I actually had ever seen this season before now. So this is all new to me. I don't even remember. I knew about the Car Deal because I run a Survivor channel, but I don't think I knew about the Car Deal back in the day.
Right.
Unlike Cook Islands. I knew Cook Islands was very familiar with.
So do you think that Earl made the wrong decision by not at least casting a vote on Cassandra and then forcing fire?
Oh, no. No, Earl made the right decision.
I mean, obviously he still won, but...
No, why would you want Yao Ming in the final 3? But I was also saying earlier, is I think Earl's on Yao Ming's side, but I don't think Earl's like ironclad on Yao Ming's side. Yeah. Like, I think Yao Ming's ironclad on Earl's side. I think Earl was willing to dump Yao Ming if it was strategically beneficial.
Sure.
And Yao Ming, I think, was with Earl. Obviously, he didn't even consider voting him out when he was still like, oh, yeah, when Dreams gives me the idol, we'll vote him out. Like,
right.
He didn't even consider it. We weren't showing at him considering, right. Well, we could vote Earl. No.
True.
I think Yao Ming had a big deficit to his game. And we'll see if in Micronesia, which you're unspoiled on, if he fixes that or not.
Oh, yeah.
How do you think he does in Micronesia?
I mean, usually returning players never do well. Like, I always say this. They always go
It's half returnees and half newbies.
Well, then he might make merge. And the newbies are kind of
stupid. I'll give you that. They're not smart.
so I'm going to say he makes merge.
You think he makes the merge?
Yeah.
Does he make final 3?
No.
Okay. All right. Those who know about Micronesia know about Micronesia. All right. We will get there eventually. So this final tribal council, 2 people in particular were super mean.
It was really harsh to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, some tribal councils are fun, and this one was not fun.
Well, some final tribals, can be interesting, could cause conversation. We saw in Cook Islands where, like, Ozzy got to tell his story about his father, and it's like, wow, what a touching moment. That was organic and not forced by Jeff in production. But here, Lacey and Alex are so mean, and it starts with Alex first, if I recall.
And there's, like, no reason for it. Yeah.
Yeah, what a jerk. It was uncalled for the way he treated
Cassandra.
I think it was Cassandra?
Yeah.
Like, what has Cassandra done to you? She's been nice to everyone all season.
Right.
I mean, even if she hasn't been nice, Cassandra was not, like, out and out burning people. She didn't, like, reveal you had the idol, for example. You know, she didn't lose your whole game. I do get the 4 horsemen not liking Dreams because he ruined their alliance.
Sure. Okay.
That's the only acceptable, in my opinion, hate given. Everyone else who gave hate to anyone else but anything else is wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. Like, the only 2 people got burned in that car deal, and it was Yao Ming and Dreams. And Yao Ming wasn't even like, he's like, you know what, Dreams, you earned it. Except like, you're not gonna get my vote basically, but it's your truck, you know. Right. Like, Yao Ming, like, is the most mature about the car deal. Other people,
obviously,
like, almost like, and it's been discussed online how it's like, it's almost people were being racist basically against Dreams. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know these people. But it's almost like they needed a way to, like, get mad at Dreams in a legitimate fashion. I could be. I don't know. I will say that people's overreaction to the car deal was an overreaction at Final Tribal.
Yeah.
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 It did seem like that they were looking for something to be mad about, because I'm sure they were all upset that they weren't in the final 3, that somebody burned them, whatever.
Is part of the whole taking things personal because you're not super familiar with Survivor. Yeah.
I guess so.
I think so.
Yeah, that's probably it. Part of me wondered if, especially Alex, maybe Lisa a little bit too. Yeah. It was almost like they were putting on a show. It's like, oh, I'm on TV. I'm gonna get my 2 minutes of talking, and I'm gonna make sure people remember.
So honorable.
Yeah. Well, not honorable. I'm gonna look cool. People are gonna think I don't know what it was they were thinking.
Dude, Alex was like, talk about a complete change of character between.
Yeah, he was never like that. It seemed like.
Well, so I thought it was interesting because during the question part earlier in the season, they said who of you is the most entitled, and everyone, or not everyone, but the majority voted Alex. I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so ever since after that, I thought about, does Alex come across as entitled? He comes across as maybe as a know-it-all.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing as entitled? But here, definitely.
Yes.
Like, where did the sense of, like, entitlement come from that you can talk to the final 3 like this?
Right. It was really rough.
I mean, I'm all for getting salty with somebody else and telling them, I hope an alligator bites you. But this was way over the line.
No, this is over the line.
Judge Sargent in Guatemala is the perfect amount of saltiness. This is way too much salt.
I know you love Judd.
I do love Judd. Hope you all get bit by freaking crocodiles. But you know what, though? Like, that's okay. Like, he's just like, that's his character, and he's not actually hoping to get bit by alligators, crocodiles, whatever.
He's just letting off some steam.
Yeah, he's letting off some steam, and he's not, like, attacking them on a personal level and saying, I get to talk now. You shut up. I get to talk now. Yeah. Like, he's just like, You know what I mean? It's like salty, but it's like humorous salty. It's not. So. He's not like. It's almost just not personal.
Yeah, I will say it wasn't a personal attack. Whereas these people were like calling people out for things that had nothing to do with the final three.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Lacey as well. I was so blown away by Alex. I didn't get good notes on Lacey, but Lacey was being an a-hole as well, a jerk.
Yeah, I just remember her being really angry. I'm like, why are you angry? You got to go home and eat some food. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Great question. I have no idea.
Nobody really burned her.
Why? Lacey was voted out pre-merge.
She was asking people to vote her out.
Yeah, she was voted out pre-merge. Her angst needs to be... Yeah, so I get why... So unfortunately, Earl's never come back to play. So the reason, by the way, the real reason, I told you the other day, I thought he didn't come back. I was wrong. He didn't come back for Winners at War because his wife was pregnant.
Oh, okay.
That's why he didn't come back for Winners at War. Yeah, I remember also, I think I listened to a podcast with him where he talked about how the schedules just never have lined up, whether it was work or whatever. But yeah, for Winners at War specifically, he was asked and he couldn't come back because his wife was pregnant, is what he said.
Gotcha.
So it makes sense. And maybe one of these times they'll get him to come back and the original King of Fiji.
He would not win a modern season of Survivor.
No, but Earl's like that straight man that you need in the mixture, in the group of crazies.
Sure.
Yep. He works well in a group of crazies. He's kind of like the Ars. Ars wasn't the normal person in the group of crazies on Exile Island with Kasaya. So, and then Cook Island's Sorry. And Cook Island's Yule, it's the wise. The Yule was kind of the straight man, though he was way smarter than the straight man usually is.
Yes.
In the group of big characters. So, anyways, you ready for questions about Survivor Fiji? Or do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get to them?
No.
Okay, I'll start with the questions we got on Patreon. I didn't even know we were going to do this podcast before we did it, so I kind of last second asked people for questions, so we don't have as many as usual. But our first question is from Laura, who asked, I would like some insight as to why production took away everything at the merge. I mean, I don't know for a fact why, but I can take a guess. Do you have a guess, Mary?
I mean, my only guess is, like I said, like, we're back to real Survivor. Mm-hmm. And also, they did the weird two tribes things. It just wasn't fair. I don't know.
So at the merge, why they took it away? I think, so they have to do actual survival again. Because if you had everyone at the merge just like living a life of luxury, people would complain. This was still a time when they semi-cared about the survival stuff.
Right.
They hadn't fully gone, this is a game show yet, which they do here. I want to say once we get into the 20s, it really starts leaning more towards into this is a game show.
For the time period, it was definitely more apropos to have just survival.
Yeah, the survival part was still important as part of a selling point of the show. Though we are, at this point, chugging along here. This is 7-8 years after the show premiered. So at this point, the popularity has died down quite a bit. All right, so the next question is from Emmy. I'm not sure how you feel about this season already, but seeing how it's mainly received as a really bad season, do you think your opinion will change after watching enough to make the story videos? Meaning, will rewatches help my perception? I gotta say, Emmy, I don't think so. I don't think rewatches are gonna change. There's some seasons where I rewatch it and I'm like, Cook Islands, every time I made a story video for somebody, I'm like, every time I rewatch the episodes, it holds up. Mm-hmm. I watched the season like 5 or 6 times and it held up. Exile Island, there were stretches where it got boring for me. Guatemala, stretches of boring. Palau was very different on a rewatch because you are now at that point, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Here, I think actually knowing what's going to happen might be more boring now that I think about it.
Yeah,
with Ravu.
It's just disheartening. It's not fun.
By the way, next season, I know I told you this, but China, big turnaround. One of the best seasons considered.
I'm excited for China.
In general, along with Micronesia. Both considered some of the best seasons. So, we have good stuff to look forward to. All right, next question from the other Joe. Do you think the concepts of the have and have-nots twist could have been executed in a better way? I did talk about this earlier in the podcast. Do you have any of your own ideas, Mary? It's not the same as my idea.
No, I think you had a really good idea about that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's why I pay you the big bucks. All right, next question is from Joey. Should the season... I'm going to try to correct I think this is misspelled. Should they have seasons with 19 castaways to begin with? Did you enjoy the beginning Exile twist? I guess we're being asked, should they do another season with odd number of people? Mm-hmm. I think if the odd number of people was 21 and we did like 7 people on 3 tribes, that would work for me. Like, I was actually surprised Winners of War maxed out at 28. I thought they would throw in 2 more winners to make it 22. But even 1 more for 21, doing 3 tribes of 7 would have been fine.
Well, that one, I think they wanted an even male-female, so 21 would have
I could see that, yeah. But I think you almost make an exception. Like, we didn't get Tina Wesson for no good reason in Winners at War. Like, she wasn't like involved in some sort of like weird incident, like Richard Hatch was. We could have got Tina Wesson on Winners at War if we just done 21 instead of 20, in my opinion. Like, that would have been okay. Like, okay, so we got 1 more girl, right? But it was already uneven with old schoolers and new schoolers.
Yeah.
So I think there's an exception to be made. Maybe when we do the eventual Legends season, that people talk about for like 50, it's just conjecture. Maybe we can do more than 20. But with that comes more double tribals and stuff, because usually the episode count doesn't change.
Yeah.
The amount of time the show has doesn't change. So we get having to vote out more people.
Well, if anything, it's down to 26 days indefinitely. So
holy crap. Yeah. And we keep adding more people, because right now we're playing with 18
less
people.
days.
You just do
That's what I don't care about
double tribals at that point.
I don't care about the number of people as much as how much time do we get to know people.
Well, the number of people affects that.
Well, I know that. Yeah. I understand that. But I'm just saying we've done seasons with a lot of people, but there are 4 tribes. And so you get to know people because they're in a smaller group. Yeah. So if you're doing more people, as long as there's smaller groups or, more tribes, that's fine with me.
I think 3 tribes of 7 would work. Because right now we're getting a lot of 3 tribes of 6. 3 tribes of 7 would work, but I think only if it's a returnee season. Therefore, we don't have to meet people for the first time. We already know them. So we don't have to do the legwork of, well, who is Christian Hubicki? You know what I mean? Or who is Shan Smith? We don't have to relearn who these people. We already know who they are. So we don't have to. So that's a lot of that legwork comes from. That's why I think newbie casts are better when there's 18 or 16, because we get way more time to learn to know who they are. Though I don't think they're ever going to do 16 again. Next question is from Keenan. Where would you rank Earl's win compared to the other winners? We don't have to rank him because I know you haven't seen every season, Mary. But I would say, how do we feel about his win? He definitely earned it.
Oh yeah,
this is not a how did he win?
Definitely in the top. I don't know, 20, 20. Not.
He's
20.
in the top half. You're saying for sure?
Yeah, more than the top half. I'd say top third. I don't know.
So top 15.
Sure, top 15.
Top 10. I don't think top 10. I can name 10 winners I like 10. More than Earl.
Yeah, but like his felt earned. He did work. He didn't just drift along like some people.
He didn't. Well, in the show,
he was
gave him a storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And going into Final Tribal, you knew Earl was winning too.
Yeah.
You pointed it out. Cassandra didn't even get like a final confessional before Final Tribal.
Oh yeah, it was just Dreams and Earl got.
And Dreams was so obviously not winning.
Right.
And Earl got his. He's like on top of a mountain. And he even has a shot of him on the mountain looking down at Dreams, like walking on the beach. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I wonder who's going to win the season.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it only became super obvious at that point and not at like Final 5 or 6 or whatever. It did become basically who's going to win between Yaman and Earl, I think, at some point.
Yes.
It was like, okay, obviously it's these two. So where would I rank? I don't have a definitive ranking, but if I had to off the top of my head, I would agree with you, Mary. I think top third, at minimum top half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next question is from Trevor. Should Dreams have given Yao Man the truck back, since he burned him, should he have given him the truck? So Dreams does not hold the deal.
He just gives it back to him.
He's like, because I'm not holding the deal, and that's Dreams, by the way. It's an option for Dreams to fix his. Since I'm not giving you immunity, you get to have the truck. The truck is yours. I think still Dreams doesn't win.
Right.
I don't think it changes, but he doesn't get.
It could have helped.
He doesn't get all the backlash. Yeah. Like, you agreed to this, sure, but he didn't keep the truck. It's because he wanted his cake and eating it too that killed himself. So, anyways, that's all the questions I have for season 14. Do you have anything else?
No, I hope we never have to watch it again.
Yeah, it's not a season I look forward to making story videos about, but it's happening. So, but we will be getting, for those who are at the end of the podcast and you want to know what videos we're going to get for the season. So I post this on Patreon, but for those who are not patrons, we're going to get the Michelle Yee story video. We're getting a Yao Min story video, a Dream story video, an Earl story video. And we are getting because people are asking, why isn't there a 5th story video? Multiple reasons. One is that I don't think there are 5 interesting. Well, if there was a 5th one, I think Rocky would have gotten the 5th one.
Yeah.
But because I'm making a video all about Ravu, which is the amount of work as a story video, and I'm on a tight schedule here. Trust me, I got my whole year planned out of videos, and I'm on a tight schedule. I got no open dates for excess videos, so I'm doing a video all about the Ravu tribe, and that's taking place in the 5th story video. So, yeah, that's where we're at. So, with that, we'll see you all next time. Bye.